Happy New Year, one and all. We might have been on a short summer break, but the action on court has continued to sizzle. Hello and welcome to Fox Sports Lab NBA for our first show of 2023. I'm your host, Ben Dixon, and with me for the fresh start to the new year, my NBA expert, Jaymz Clements. Welcome, James.
Thanks, Ben. Speaking of sizzling, I spent a bunch of time on the beach with this fair complexion of mine sizzling, I'll tell you that much, but ready and stoked for 2023. Let's go.
Good to see you haven't dyed your beard white like I told you to over the Christmas break. But coming up, life without Kevin Durant. What now for the Nets? We look at the key men behind the NBA scoring explosion, and our two-time All-Star Carlos Boozer is back to make some big calls. It's third time unlucky for Kevin Durant as he sprained his MCL, the same injury that sidelined him last season and back in 2017. James, how did Brooklyn stop the KD injury derailing their season, dare I say it, once again?
Well, I'll tell you what, Dicko. They've taken steps already, which is like the smartest thing I think Sean Marks may have done in this offseason for this Nets team. They've just ripped off one of the best, basically the best ever sort of run that the Nets have had in franchise history. They've gone 18-2 in 20 games. They've never done that before. And then, of course, Nets fans can't have nice things. You get Durant, you get Kyrie, it all goes a bit haywire at some point. It's always going to. That's the rule. The thing is, what we've seen is their off-season involved getting TJ Warren, Yuta Watanabe, and our man Royce O'Neal. So basically, they've got some swingman options to plug and play in place of Durant, or even next to Durant, as we've seen so far. But this has been an incredible team all year, right? They've had a top 10 offense basically since Kyrie came back. They can score, and that's what happens when you've got Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, two of the most gifted scorers in the history of the game playing. What will happen, we'll see them take a step back. But TJ Warren, Royce O'Neal, Yuta Watanabe, it's plug and play vibes, Dicko. It's plug and play. TJ Warren, great ISO scorer as well. He's basically just like a poor man's version of KD. Off you go. Yuta can spread the floor. You've even got a healthy Joe Harris, which is a bit different from when KD got hurt last time, where they kind of just went, well, there goes our offense out the door. And they completely plummeted. I think it was 5-17 when he was out last time. That's not going to happen this time. I'll tell you what, though. Ben Simmons is the key. Yeah. The Aussie is the key here. He's averaging a jaw-dropping 7, 6, and 6 at the moment, Dicko. Can we bank that up a little bit, Ben, please? That's all we need. I want to see this go up to about, let's say, a 12, 8, and 8 without KD out there. But the thing that's really bothered me about Simo's game is that he's been back since October. He's played 30 games. 7, 6, and 6 just hasn't been good enough. He's been a happy sort of facilitator. He's been a defensive attack dog. You'd love to see that, but he's got one more field goal this year than fouls made. That is chaos. That is absolute chaos. So I need to see more offense from Ben. He's taking half as many shots at the moment in his career this year than he did when he was a rookie. 6 field goal attempts per game versus 12 when he was a rookie. That can't continue without KD there. Ben has to be more assertive. We need to see him facilitate and attack the basket. His drives have plummeted. I need to see more drives. I just need to see him be more attacking, come from a more offensive sort of mindset and go from there. And just watch the Nets. They'll be fine if that happens. It's this ISO sort of ball that's going to be a bit interesting. So Ben needs to sort of fix it all up, and away we go.
Geez, you're a hard taskmaster. You're riding Ben Simmons already. First show back. All right, speaking of missing stars, the Suns have fallen off the face of the planet since losing Devin Booker. Is there an end to this free fall, James?
There was kind of earlier this week. They were 2-10, I think, without Devin. They got a big win in Golden State, which you love to see. The big problem for them was losing Devin Booker. They also lost his backups. Campaign, Landry Shamit. You lose your backups, it's a bit harder to plug and play if you can't just go, all right, we've lost this bloke, who's going to step up? And if they're not there, it's a lot harder. The thing is, this was a big sort of indicator of like how old Chris Paul is. He's like, right, if you had Chris Paul in his prime, just roll him back out there, you lose your shooting guard, doesn't matter. We've got the big man, DeAndre Ayton, we've got Chris Paul, we'll be fine. Chris Paul's now 37, he's old, he's a bit slower, different point of his career, he couldn't carry them. The big thing for Phoenix, though, the Booker injury is a big problem. They need to tread water. They've not been able to. Like, this is the thing. Brooklyn will be able to tread water. Phoenix haven't been. What will happen, though? People are clamouring. What's going to happen? Is it going to be a trade? Is it going to be a trade? Can Phoenix make a trade? They've been trying to make a trade, Dicko, and it hasn't happened yet because they've been sold. So the owner has to sign off. He doesn't want to take on any more money. It's all a bit sort of a messy situation. But the thing for Suns fans, they'll just sort of look at this and go, right, Cam Johnson's been out for all this entire year. He's basically our free agent or trade acquisition. We plug and play him. We try to get rid of Jay Crowder. If they can pull off a Jay Crowder trade, bring in someone like Kyle Kuzma from Washington, or even failing that, Rui Hachimura from Washington, I'd love to see. Maybe a John Collins from Atlanta, aim for the sky, you'll never be disappointed. Maybe Bojan Bogdanovic from Detroit. Basically, they need another sort of big shooting wing. But because they've just been sold, it's going to be tricky. But essentially, if Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, get Cam Johnson back, Michael Bridges, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, they should be fine in the end. But at the moment, it's massively worrying that they've been this bad.
You took me back to my childhood there with the ShamWow, when Mum used to buy that on telly late at night. All right, now we're going to talk about Benjamin Button. Correct me if I'm wrong. LeBron James, he's staying great at 38. Can you believe it? He's less than 500 points away from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record. What does this mean for him and the Lakers?
It means they're back.
They're back, baby.
They're back. It means more than anything, they're not out of it, really, which is the big sort of key, I think, for the Lakers, because the phrase puncher's chance is basically built for this team. They lose Anthony Davis. He had been absolutely tearing it up before he goes down towards the end of December. They've ripped off a recent 5-game win streak. That got them back within spitting distance of the top 10. The top 10 is the key point for the NBA in the conferences because that's your play-in tournament cutoff. They get close enough to give them a bit of a shot. All you need to do is a couple more win streaks in the second half of the season, they'll be fine. Anthony Davis looks like he'll be back towards the end of January. You'll love to see that. But the LeBron thing is patently ridiculous, Dicko. Patently ridiculous. No one's done this before. No. He's 38. I groan when I get off the couch and he's my age. It's insane. He's averaging 29.1 points a game. That's the 5th most of his entire career. He's been in the NBA for 20 years, Dicko. How does this happen? He takes care of his body and he's an athletic freak. But it's incredible. So basically, if he stays healthy, if they get Anthony Davis back and healthy, puncher's chance, get into the play-in, get into the playoffs, they'll be fine now. I kind of love it. It's huge. I
want to see your driver's licence. You are not 38. You're 42 in the shade. All right, now, our man Josh Giddey is shooting an insane 34.9% from downtown. Now, the US media are finally sitting up and taking notice. Are you surprised at that?
I'm surprised that they finally cottoned on that the mop-top Mamba is an absolute weapon, and I love him. The craziest part is that Josh Giddey last year was shooting, I believe, 26.3% from 3, and he's now bumped that up basically to 35. That's a huge jump, and they brought in notoriously excellent shooting coach Chip England, and he's made a huge difference. But it's also just testament to not Ben. That's the difference, right? Josh Giddey, testament to his work ethic on his shooting form. Whereas you see someone like Ben Simmons who's kind of like, well, I'll just exercise that from my game. Giddey went, I can improve. And that's exactly what he's done. It's made him much more of an all-round threat. And you've seen OKC, his team, my beloved Zombie Sonics, out there, and they've been close in pretty much every game all season because he and SGA have just formed this weird sort of partnership where SGA is the absolute sort of superstar. Giddey fills in the sort of gaps, does everything else. And to boost his shooting percentage that much just opens up that entire offense for that OKC team. And down the track, that's going to be huge. He's now sort of getting to that almost, you've got to think about him being possibly an all-star probably next year maybe. This is the sort of thing. Because if you have that three-point shot alongside all of his other talents, you can't deny how good he has been. And it's great to see the US media finally go, yes, the mop-top Mamba, watch out, here we go.
What a start. You have not missed a beat. All right, stick around as we delve into the scoring bonanza across the competition.
The betting brand for sports fans. That's Betr. Gamble responsibly.
Buckle up, folks. We are going to rank the NBA scoring machines as we welcome back our man Carlos Boozer for the first time in 2023. Welcome, Carlos.
Guys, Happy New Year. Good to be back. Good to see you guys. You guys look sharp.
We look sharp. James, he got some sun over the summer, so he's actually got a tan over here at the moment, Carlos. But we're going to get straight into it. We want to get to the bottom of this scoring boom. We're talking Donovan Mitchell dropping 71 points, Luka's 60 points and 20 boards in a history-making triple-double, Giannis with 55 points and Klay Thompson with 54. How and why, Carlos, are these guys blowing up the scoreboard?
I mean, they're studs. I mean, the game has evolved so much since when I played. Everybody can do so many different things. They're so versatile. You look at Joel Embiid. He's a big guy, 7'2", got post moves, but he can shoot the three very well as well. He's got great footwork on the block. You look at a guy like Giannis, can do a little bit of everything. His jump shooting is getting better and better. Luka is one of the most complete guys that we've seen. He can score at will, make shots from all over the place. He can assist and create shots for his teammates, and he can rebound the ball. He's 6'7", 6'8", plays the point guard position. You see a guy like Donovan Mitchell just get hot. He's been scorching, can shoot the ball from anywhere, got a big frame for his 6'4" size, super athletic. The skill set of these guys have gotten better and better and better, and I can't wait to see where it goes in the next 20 years.
That's awesome, Carlos, because it makes me, obviously talking to you, instantly think about when you were playing. Basketball's very clearly evolved to an all-out sort of offensive game. Is that going to be basically a conducive way for watching basketball? Do you think this is a fun way of playing basketball? Do you prefer the way that it maybe used to be when you were in there, dropping in your nice little 17-footers, dumping off to Joakim Noah, that sort of good stuff?
This is the question that all millennials ask us OG vet guys. Which style of basketball do you prefer? I get this question so much. And this is my response. I miss some of the old back to the basket guys, the Shaquille O'Neals and the Hakeem Olajuwons and those dominant centers that we had back in the 90s and 2000s. But I can't deny how awesome it is to see a guy that's 7 feet that can handle the ball and bring it up like a point guard like Kevin Durant or Giannis Antetokounmpo or Joel Embiid. These guys, look at what the Joker's doing down in Denver. He's maybe one of the best passers we've seen, maybe the best big man passer of all time. And we're seeing it right now live today. So I love where the game has gone. I think the guys are so skilled. Guys are so dynamic. They can do so much in the air. I think there's better athletes now. I think the game is in very good hands. We got some real awesome players. Obviously, we still have LeBron and we got Kevin Durant, but we got new guys like Ja Morant and Luka Doncic and Jason Tatum is emerging. The game is in really good hands. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Okay, it's time to rank the best 3 scorers in the competition. Carlos, who do you pick and why?
I got Luka at the top. I think just his ability to score at will, clutch in the fourth quarter, makes his free throws, shoots a high clip, and really puts that Dallas team on his back. I think the Greek Freak has got to be up there because he's the most dominant guy we got in the game. Nobody can stop him, especially when he's coming at you with a full head of steam. He reminds me of a LeBron, but he's a little bit taller. And then you got to think of a guy like, who's number 3? I'm going to be honest. Joel Embiid's got to be on that list. He's 7'2", he's unguardable. The first game back last night, he put up 34. He's got a great touch, knocks his free throws down. You can't foul him. He can shoot the 3. He's got all the footwork and all the fancy step backs. I think those 3, Luka Doncic, Greek Freak, and Joel Embiid, for me.
Well, Joel Embiid was your MVP off our very first show. That was Carlos' 3rd pick. What are your top 3?
Well, Ben, I'm going to say that my 3 can hurt you inside and out, just like my teenage girlfriend. I'll tell you what, my high school life was a bit difficult, I'll tell you that much. Luka is going to be the clear number 1. I think the way he can do pretty much anything on the floor, his drives, he has the second most drives per game. He's hitting the threes up from last year. He's at 35.5% this year, 50% from the floor. He's averaging 34 points a game. It's absolutely crazy. He basically is in the top 4 of, if you have an expected points per shot attempt, he's basically the top 4 in the entire NBA. He uses that size and that weird speed just to somehow get around dudes. It's absolutely fascinating. He's not fast, he's not slow. He's got those crafty Euro vibes. We've called him the Slovenian Andrew Gaze for a reason there. But my other 2, I'm going to go slightly outside of Carlos. Embiid is incredible. He's averaging 33.6 at the moment. Absolutely incredible. So is Giannis, 31. But Steph Curry, he changed the game. He's just an absolute pure scorer. There's no one more scary on a basketball court when they're absolutely in fuego. If they're hot, Steph's still the guy. He's still absolutely incredible. 30 points a game. He's been out with the injury. He comes back. Once he cranks it back up, he'll be insane. 43.5% from 3. His effective field goal percentage is over 62.5%. For a dude that's his size, that is absolutely insane. It means he's shooting and also driving. And that's the key thing when it comes to Steph. He's also in the paint, and he doesn't miss when he's in the paint. His ability to sort of twist his body and hit those insane layups is just nothing we've ever seen before. He shoots 80% basically in the paint. That is absolutely chaos for a dude his size. And the other one's going to be the most pure scorer in the NBA, basically NBA history. Kevin Durant, the Slim Reaper. I love him. Almost 30 points a game, 56% from the floor, but the thing is, he is literally hitting mid-range shots at a historic rate at the moment. No one's doing it better than KD. He gets hurt, but seriously, no one's shot more than the sort of mid-range jump shots that he's taken this season more accurately, literally in the history of the game. Like, it's absolutely incredible what he's been doing. He's made and taken more mid-range jump shots than 13 teams in the NBA this year. Teams, Dicko.
Wow.
That's how good KD's been. He was basically an MVP favourite before he gets hurt. He might be the most pure scorer in the history of the game. There's nothing he can't do. He doesn't quite do that sort of, the 71-point Donovan Mitchell explosion, but there's nothing he can't do on a basketball court. Look, SGA, Donnie Mitchell, they're all really good, but there's my three, Lucas, Steph, and KD.
Expect a call from your high school girlfriend too, who's watching. She didn't realise she scarred you so much over the years. All right, Carlos, does the ability to score quickly mean that any team can win from anywhere, anytime?
That's a good question. I think being able to score quickly is a luxury to have. You see Golden State do it. You remember the old school teams with Steve Nash used to score or get shots up with 7 seconds off the clock. I think it is a luxury to be able to do that, but come playoff time, we all know it slows down. It becomes a half-court game, more and more fast break points. There are less every playoff game. So I think being able to score fast will help you win, but you got to be able to execute in the half court.
All right, may these guys continue to shoot the lights out. Stick with us, folks, because it's time for Carlos and James to go head-to-head.
The betting brand for sports fans. That's Betr. Gamble responsibly.
I've missed you two battling inside the paint on our big call segment, so let's jump straight into it. Carlos, the Warriors have been poor on the road. Can they buck the trend and get it done away against the Spurs on Saturday?
Oh, they've been horrible on the road. I think they may be the worst road team in the NBA, which is so bizarre because they were so outstanding last year, obviously coming off a championship. The team looks a little different. But that being said, I got them winning this game in San Antonio. I think Steph just got back. Clay's been one of the hottest scorers in the NBA in the last 10 games, doing a great job. I think they figure out a way to start pushing that button. They're a team, they've gotten to the 7th spot in the Western Conference. They've been up and down. Again, they've been battling on the road, but I think they're about to flip that switch and start taking every game serious, maybe starting with the Spurs.
Well, James is nodding while you were talking, Carlos, so I feel like he concurs.
100%, Dicko. 3-16 on the road, the Warriors. That is atrocious. It's literally the worst in the NBA, as Carlos noted. That's worse than even Houston, who have been absolutely abysmal. You got to go the Warriors for the win with the head-to-head. But the thing is, like the Spurs, as bad as they've been, and they're one of the 4 worst teams in the NBA, basically, they do cover spreads at a pretty high rate. So when you're looking at that one, just saying, the point spread's probably an interesting play.
All right, James, now the Nuggets, they've been the form team in the West. Do they look too strong for the Clippers?
They do. And you know who absolutely loves playing the Clippers? The Denver Nuggets. They love punking them ever since the bubble playoffs when they came back from 3-1 down to beat Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. They've beaten them 10 times in the last 12 games. Even last, about a week and a half ago, they played and they embarrassed them. Absolutely flat out embarrassed them. Paul George and Kawhi both played that game, had zero impact because the Nuggets just ran right over the top of them. Basically, that defense, I think, of like Aaron Gordon and even Michael Porter Jr., really, not a noted defender, but having someone like Aaron Gordon on the perimeter, having a Brown type, Joker, Jamal, MPJ offensively, it's just really something the Clippers don't have the sort of cohesiveness at the moment to deal with. I think later in the season, it might be a different story, but right now, the Clippers are just coming off a big losing streak, got a big win yesterday, but the Nuggets will win this one again, make it, 11 of 13?
All right, Carlos, Nuggets or Clippers for you?
Yeah, I got the Nuggets as well. I mean, everything James said was right on the money. And they got nobody to guard the Joker. I mean, he's one of the best players in the world. They got nobody for him. I feel like the Clippers are one of those teams that could also flip a switch. Kawhi's playing much more consistently. Paul George is getting back out there. They got a veteran roster that looks really scary come playoff time. But right now, the Denver Nuggets are young. They're enthusiastic. They get up and down the floor so quickly. They score with ease. I just think the Clippers can keep up with that pace.
All right, let's have a look at some Sunday games. Carlos, where is the Grizzlies-Pacers clash going to be won and lost?
Ja Morant. I just think Ja Morant is the difference maker. I mean, I think the Indiana Pacers are doing a pretty good job. They play pretty solid defense. They got some guys emerging as stars. One of them being a rookie who's in that, rookie of the year hunt with Paolo Banchero. But Ja Morant, for me, is the difference maker. They don't have a guy like him, but the Grizzlies do. So I got the Grizzlies winning that game.
You going with the Grizzlies?
I would go with the Grizzlies as well. They've been unreal since the start of December. I think they're 15-4, and they're 17-7 since the big man, Triple J. Jaren Jackson Jr.'s been back. They've also got Desmond Bain. He's back as well. I love a good Batman villain on a basketball court. But they've also been the second best defense, I think, in basically this year with the second best defensive rating. They will win this game, but the Pacers have an incredible record of basically making sure that they cover the point spread. So just saying again, Grizzlies the win. Have a look at the line though for the Pacers.
All right, James, let's finish off with the Mavericks and the Trailblazers. Did make a trip to Portland over your summer break. Who are you expecting here?
This is a fascinating setup because you think about the way that Portland can sort of cover a team like the Mavericks. They've got big Jeremiah Grant over there on the wings. They've got the backcourt of Dame. They've got Anthony Simons. It's a little bit small, and the Mavs have those sort of big wings that they can throw out there. And amazingly, the Mavs actually beaten the Blazers the last 6 straight times, basically all the way back to March 2021. And Luka averages a lazy 38-8 against the Blazers.
Just so lazy.
The Slovenian sensation just goes out there and dominates each time. I think the Mavs spread out the Blazers in this one. 16th ranked defense for the Blazers. The Mavs, I think, have the 7th ranked offense, I think. And that's basically going to be the sort of difference. They'll spread them out, hopefully knock down some threes. That's all a lot of the Mavs games sort of just rely on them actually hitting their threes. It's like today we're all going to hit them. Today we're not going to. We're going to lose that one. Off they go. But Luka will dominate. They'll get the big win here.
All right, Mavs or Blazers with you, Carlos?
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, I love the Dame Dollar versus Luka Magic matchup right there. I think it's going to be a great one. Come down to the wire, but I agree with James. I think Dallas finds a way. I think Luka's just so hard to guard at 6'8". He kind of plays at his own pace. He gets everybody involved. Defensively, they got really big guards that can guard, Anthony Simons and those guys as well. But I do think it's going to be a close game. I got Dallas edging them out at the end.
That was the big call. Great to have you on board again, Carlos. You've been outstanding. You're the MVP in week 1. Well done. We'll see you again next week. Can't
wait to be here, guys.
All right, James, as we did it towards the end of last year, before we let you go, we like your little multis to just kickstart our year in 2023. What do you got for us?
Well, there's a couple of awesome games this weekend. Dicko, I want Indy over Atlanta, Knicks over Washington, and Minnesota over Phoenix as a head-to-head multi. If I was to do a same game, I'm just saying, Sacramento, I've got a big game against Houston. I'd look at the line there, the points total over, because neither of those teams are defending at the moment. And you could probably go 20-plus points for both De'Aaron Fox and the Souvlaki King, Domantas Sabonis.
Well, you started hot as well. Thanks for joining us on Fox Sports Lab NBA. Don't forget to subscribe below and follow us on socials, and we'll see you next week.